Well, here's a story I wasn't expecting to cover at this hour on this day. It's 2 a.m. here in the East Coast of the United States. The Sowetan's Jeanette Chabalala claims in the Sowetan the recent deterioration in relations between the African National Congress and the Democratic Alliance in the government of national unity is believed to have been sparked by revelations that Democratic Alliance Member of Parliament Emma Powell allegedly spread disinformation about South Africa during a trip to the U.S. Really? So it wasn't Ramaphosa pretending to sign expropriation without compensation at Davos, or when he signed the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, or the 80 million rand black tax transformation slush fund, or the national dialogue, or sacking Andrew Whitfield 4 months after a personal trip to the U.S. It was Emma Powell spreading misinformation. That's the proximate cause of the dispute between these two parties. Get real. Hey, listen, at least someone picks up the telephone when the Democratic Alliance calls, unlike the ANC who can't get an Uber, let alone an office call when they're in D.C. Government insiders say a report handed to the National Security Council, chaired by Ramaphosa, has detailed that Powell, during her trip to the U.S., undermined South Africa's international relations and domestic policy narratives by spreading disinformation that contributed to the negative perceptions of South Africa's foreign policy. Disinformation. What? What, like Ramaphosa professing in the White House Oval Office to disavow kill the boer to Trump and then saying it's free speech when he hit the ground back in South Africa? That disinformation? Sources in government also told the Sowetan that the report put Powell at the center of organizing an unauthorized trip to the U.S. that included former Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Andrew Whitfield. Unauthorized. So when exactly did she begin working for the presidency, or for the ANC for that matter? Who is the African National Congress to dictate her travel? The South African Constitution guarantees freedom of movement and travel abroad for South African citizens. It's none of their business what she does. She doesn't represent the ANC. She's not a member of the ANC, and she's not in the cabinet. So futsek. Nishabalala reports that the National Security Council is said to have commissioned the report after Powell publicly called for a change of South Africa's foreign policy. In a statement in March, Powell said, in light of increased tensions between the United States of America and South Africa, the Democratic Alliance has called for a formal review of foreign policy at the cabinet level. This includes the adoption of a consensus-based approach to the appointment of ambassadors. Now, what is the National Security Council doing investigating a member of parliament for doing her job, calling for the government to look into its failed foreign policy? It's not a crime. It's not even a bad idea. Unless, of course, you're the African National Congress and you've got something to hide. Insiders said the report suggests that Powell allegedly used her travel to the U.S. to spread anti-South African government agenda, despite her party being a key member of the GNU. The DA is a key member of the GNU. Well, that's rich. The only key member in the GNU is the political party that acts with impunity and unilaterally, not consulting its coalition partners. And that, of course, would be the African National Congress. Also, this mindset is a major problem with South Africa's so-called democracy. Emma Powell is in office to represent the people of South Africa, not the government of national unity. Her obligation should be to the interest of the people, which the African National Congress is not serving well. Now, the report says Ms. Powell has been identified as a primary architect of a negative narrative concerning South Africa's International Court of Justice case within Washington, D.C. Well, folks, you'll excuse me if I'm a little confused. For months, they told us, and I thought that they claimed it was Elon Musk who deserved all the blame for that. Or then it was Solidarity and AfriForum. I wish they'd make up their mind as to who is to blame for Washington seeing through the ANC's malarkey. It states that Ms. Powell is a key proponent of misinformation regarding South Africa's Expropriation Act. Her public and private engagements in the U.S. have contributed significantly to the negative perceptions of this domestic policy. Actually, the ANC's arrogance in formulating a law that is incongruent with the Constitution of South Africa is the proximate cause of negative perceptions about Pretoria's domestic policies, not Emma Powell. On this side of the Atlantic, we don't need Emma Powell, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, Gabe McKenzie, or anybody to tell us how morally bankrupt your policies and laws are. We can see for ourselves. Another government source said that Powell's activities directly conflict with the legitimate and officially sanctioned engagements of the South African government. And your point? She's in parliament and a South African citizen. She's entitled to free speech. In fact, it's guaranteed under your constitution. So get over yourselves. The allergic reaction to legitimate political discourse and dissent in South Africa is alarming. The African National Congress acts like the Soviet Politburo, not a democratically elected government responsible to the people. Official trade negotiations with the U.S. are properly managed by the Department of Trade, Industry, and Competition, supported by the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, and advised by Mr. Mkhitaryan Jonas and his team, said the source. Well, folks, that's comical. The ANC is not negotiating in good faith or even negotiating at all with Washington. Parks Tao is in China for a week, sucking up to the Chi-Coms with Paul Mashatile and John Steenhuisen, rather than negotiating with the Trump administration as the 30% tariffs are 2 weeks away. He's in China. What do you mean negotiating with the U.S.? Parks Tao also skipped the U.S.-Africa Business Summit in Luanda. Jonas is advising them? Where? From the Victorian Alfred waterfront? Get serious here. What a comedy show this is. The insider further said Powell's activities were designed to curry favor with foreign governments and undermine the current South African administration. To what end? What is she getting out of such a thing? Where is this claim coming from? This is nothing but uninformed slander intended to besmirch Member of Parliament Emma Powell. The unnamed source's comment is inappropriate for a reputable news outlet, and a legitimate news organization never would have run an unnamed source slandering a political opponent. That's not journalism. That's yellow journalism. For her part, Powell posted on X that the Sowetan contacted her on the 16th of July for comment on a report which she has not seen. She asked the Sowetan's editor, Sibonkokeke Shoba, to ascertain the veracity of the report. Now, he declined to provide her with a copy of the report, but confirmed that it was produced by state security services and had served before the National Security Council and the president. Reports serving for NSC are classified. So, what is the Sowetan, a private newspaper, doing with a classified state security services report? When did they get clearance to see classified information? I smell a smear campaign. Is there even a report? If the Sowetan can see a classified report, surely a member of parliament has a greater need to know than a journalist at the Sowetan. No? Where is the press ombudsman? This isn't journalism. It's a smear campaign. It's yellow journalism. In her X post, Powell notes, both potential surveillance of a sitting member of parliament by state security services as well as the targeted leaking of a classified report in a clear attempt to tarnish and intimidate such a member in performing her duties are serious criminal offenses under South African law. Indeed, that is my point. Not to mention potential libel in play here as well. Now, I've watched the recent comments from ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula complaining that the media have it out for the ANC. That's comical. South Africa's media, as you can see, has long carried the water for the ANC elites and appears to still be up to it today. So what's going on here? Does the Sowetan actually have access to state secrets? And why are they sharing that in the press but not sharing it with the person who's a sitting member of parliament and should have access to such reports should they exist? Smear campaign. What else is this? It surely isn't journalism. It's sensationalism. Yellow journalism. What say you, South Africa, Mzansi? As I said, the ANC's full-on propaganda blitz and attack on the Democratic Alliance is underway, and this is the latest. Every day, that's 4 reports now attacking the DA in the last 24 hours. It's only going to get worse from here. Cheers.